What does it do, YouTube? Welcome back to another episode of Scotty Says. I am your host, and welcome to episode 143. 143, my folks. And now, while the journey is nearing its destination, the voyage has almost arrived safely at the promised land. You know what I told you months ago in August of 25. You know what I came here to the outskirts of the city and foretold. The prophecy, the prediction is now damn near complete. I told you the Rams would go 12-5 this campaign. I told you that in August, and they went 12-5. I told you the Rams would make the Super Bowl and win it. And so now we are very, so close to seeing it all come to pass. And so, with this last victory over the once toothless Bears in Chicago, in the frigid, frozen conditions, now the Rams can look forward to Championship Sunday and their match, the third in the trilogy, against Seattle Seahawks. And that's how it should be. That's the way it needs to be. These are the best two teams in the NFC, probably the best two teams in the NFL. And it's only right that they should have a third match to decide it all. I can't wait. But before we even address that game, we've got to look back just a little bit at this just past game in Chicago. Now, you know last episode what I told you. I told you last episode that I believe there was no way possible, that it would not happen, that the football gods would not permit. Fight on. Caleb and the Bears, toothless no more, to defeat the Rams and to advance to Championship Sunday over Matt Stafford and the crew. I told you this last episode, and I felt it with conviction to be true. And it turns out that it was. And I hope you saw episode 142. Speaking of the football gods, maybe they had it out for me too last week, because there were all manner of gremlins attacking my production process for last week's episode. I had the damnedest time getting the video to upload after I shot it, and then once I did get it uploaded, why, the editing process was just abominable. I mean, every manner of issue and problem that could arise did. It took me several days just to try to get the editing to finalize and to be able to upload the video. And so for the first time in 142 episodes, for the first time, I had a video that was late to the press, and I like the trains to run on time. And so it bothered me greatly that I wasn't able to get the video, which was well shot and ready, out to the people before the actual games took place. Because I made my predictions, and I'll just say right here and now that my predictions are pretty strong. I mean, I went 5-1, as you may know, wild card weekend, 5-1. I saw Neander went 2-4. And he's a well-paid, well-regarded expert, isn't he? 2-4. I went 5-1, wild card weekend. I followed that up last weekend, division weekend. I went 2-2. I fell off. 2-2. And you know why it was? Because, for some reason, I couldn't bring myself to believe in the Denver Broncos. And honestly, that game did go to overtime, so it was close. And B, well, I kind of maybe stepped out with optimism about that ferocious Texans defense. And I thought, well, if CJ just gives you any little basic bit, then, the Texans should be able to survive and advance, right? And, well, after I saw CJ in Wild Card Weekend, he was stumbling and bumbling and fumbling and dilly-dallying with the poltergeist, something terrible. And when I saw that, I said, whoa, I don't believe in this guy at all at this point. I don't know what happened. It may be the concussion got him. He was going along okay until that concussion. He used to run. He doesn't run anymore. Maybe, I don't know what it is. Hopefully he can get back on his square next year, but I was reluctant to go with Houston against New England. I had a bad feeling in the pit of my stomach, and, it was well warranted. And so that's how I lost to this past weekend. And so after the first 2 weekends now, I am 7-3. 7-3 after 10 games. And that's not bad. In fact, I went 10-3. There are 13 games in the postseason. I went 10-3 2 years ago. And then last year I slipped to 9-4. And so now here I am this year back at 7-3 with 3 games to go. So the goal, of course, is to nail these last 3 in predictions and end up 10-3 again. And I saw where Neander, with these last 4, he went 1-3 again. So Neander is 3-7, I believe. Yeah, I'm 7-3. Neander is 3-7. And so these are the experts. But here's the point I really want to make, because I've digressed. I will get back to predictions at the end of the episode. But I knew that the football gods would not allow for Caleb and the Bears to advance against the Rams this past weekend. And I told you about why last episode. And so I hope you saw it, even though it did come out late. But I will also say this here and now. I'll make an announcement, since I'm going down rabbit holes and digressing on tangents and whatnot and what have you. I put a lot of work into these episodes, the research and the data, because I got to give you facts, and I want to give you solid, foundational, fundamental football principles. And then at the same time, I try to give you entertainment. I want to get you to chuckle a little bit. And so it's a hybrid of strong, solid football. And then the goal was to also bring in a bit of the absurd, a bit of the comedic, and give you some laughter along the way. And so there is a lot of work that I put into it. And with the gremlins attacking me last week, with all the trouble I had to get that episode to you, and then for it still to come out late. And I don't ask for much. I just ask for a like or two. It's like pulling teeth to get one of these. I feel a little underappreciated. I guess that's the mild way of putting it. And it is a lot of work. And so, as the saying goes, a good man is never honored in his own country. And speaking of which, I need to get the hell out of the insane asylum for a few days. And so when you put it all together, what I'm really trying to tell you, my folks, is that this will be the final season that I cover the Rams and give you these weekly episodes. I hope that you've enjoyed them over the course and duration of these last several seasons. And I appreciate those of you that have watched and supported. And of course, especially shout out to my son, my main man. And so, thank you for that. But I'll be back on the other side of the championship game, but it may be closer to the Super Bowl. And hopefully, who knows, maybe I'll give you an episode from Southeast Asia. We'll see. but I will be back with final coverage of the big game. I've been on this voyage, and I've been chronicling it with you and for you, and so I'm gonna see it through to the end. That is sort of my deal. If I start it, I aim to finish it. And so, enough said there. Let's get back to the point. I hope you catch 142. It is now available if you haven't seen it. I think you'll find that there is a lot of value to it, even though it is now a bit past date. But at any rate, 143, well, this one is going to definitely be a bell ringer as well. And so let's get right to it now. Now, here's the thing I have to impart. Well by now that this is a zero-sum game, right? L's and dubs, dubs and L's. Which one did you get? And in the final analysis, no matter how it came about, McWonder got the dub. And so he is McDub, and the Rams do survive and they do advance. And that's what it's about. There's only 4 teams still playing now. And so the Rams are in that Final Four. Beautiful. And the thing, though, is, well, the captain of the ship has tendencies. He has proclivities. He has idiosyncrasies. You know this now. And we see these on display, well, every damn game now. And I've been warning for a long time that these will doom you. These will prevent you from reaching the promised land. You'll be in a dinghy off the coast, signaling for help. And so there is a halo effect around the captain. And when things are going well, the Rams are successful, of course, he deservedly gets all the credit. But when things are rough and bumpy, I'll go so far as to say raggedy. When they are, with the halo effect, the captain escapes any and all blame. It's somebody else's fault, you see? And that's where I come in. I, as you know, have always refused to ride the conveyor belt. I won't do it. I calls them as I sees them. You know this. And so I give you the real. I've been doing it for years now. And when McGenius is brilliant, I showcase it. The McGenius Spotlight Report. You know this. And conversely, when McWonder is, well, McFoolish, I let you know about that too. The McBlunder Spotlight Sequence of the Week has become a weekly feature, regrettably. And so, 2 things can be true at the same time. You dig? I've said time and time again that Coach McGenius is the finest coach the Rams have ever had in any location. Ever! They made a brilliant choice when they hired the captain. And I remember the day when I read that the Rams had hired a new head coach to replace Where's the Bar Fisher. And they said his name was McVay. And I said, these were my exact exact words. I said, Mick, who? Well, now we know. McGenius, damn it. Well, but he's got, he's got the alter ego as Mr. McWonder, you see? And so we see the dichotomy, the bipolarity, the duality. We see it time and time again, often in the same game, often in the same half, many times in the same damn quarter. And so I cannot laud the victory, you see, without acknowledging the shortcomings. And so this is where we are. And so congratulations to the Rams, to, of course, the whole entire organization, top to bottom, and of course to the head coach. But he himself, in the post game, he himself was the hardest I've ever heard him be on himself. And rightly so. Why do you think that in a victory, in a time of jubilation and celebration, why was the head coach berating himself so harshly? He said it was the worst game he had called, the worst position he'd ever put the team in, or words to those effect. And there's truth in that. And as I say, two things can be true at once. And so as great a coach as he is, he's got the damnedest idiosyncrasies. He's got a condition, you see. And, well, I mean, the reality of it is he is an unbalanced fellow. That's just what he is. That's who he is at his core. He's an unbalanced fellow who wants to chuck it. That's what he wants to do. And for the first time, I heard the media, the talking heads, the pundits, I heard some of them actually question his play calling decisions. For the first time, really. He has been beyond question, beyond reproach. You don't question. One commenter even said to me, we don't question McWonder. He is to be admired and appreciated, not questioned. I said, man, you on the conveyor belt. Are you out of your damn mind? That's not how I roll. Listen, here's the point. I've warned for the longest time that certain shortcomings, certain, we'll call them tendencies, will lead to your demise. I warned him that there is a book out on him. I called it The Book of McWonder. People understand that he has these tendencies, these proclivities. And what's funny, what's ironic, is that even knowing this, you find that these other opposing head coaches get drawn into playing his way. They try to out McWonder. You are sealing your own death warrant. Benny J, Ben Johnson. Benny J tried to out McWonder. You're going to fail. Canales in the playoffs. See, that's what's so ironic to me. In the regular season, when the Rams played the Panthers, Canales was playing with an understanding of the Book of McWonder, and he countered in just the right ways. And when McWonder went chuck it, and did the, I've now coined it 14 seconds. That's what I call it now. 14 seconds. I'll show you later. I'm going to give you an abbreviated game analysis, but I'm going to show you 14 seconds. And I discussed it briefly last episode, but I hadn't decided that's what it should be called, 14 seconds. The captain of the SS Rambo, Mr. McWonder, he does something in the vicinity of the same thing every week. And I've called it 14 seconds. I'll share it with you in just a bit. But my bigger point is just that. As great a coach as Mr. McWonder is, he's got blind spots. He's got holes, flaws in his game. And, well, wise coaches exploit it. The foolish ones try to out-McWonder him. And, well, if you go down that path, you're going to beat yourself every damn time. I've been shocked to see Father try to out-McWonder. McWonder, what are you doing, Father? You wrote the book. What? I saw Canales try to out-McWonder. He watched McWonder fold precisely as the book stipulates he will, and he did the correct counter move. He ran the ball up the gut on him, and he whipped him at his McWonderist in the regular season. And then in the playoffs, instead of following the same formula, because McWonder was going to follow the same formula. That's what I've seen. He doesn't deviate. You think McWonder's going to come with a new formula against Seattle? No. He's going to do what he does. Which means his instinct, his inclination is chuck it. And eventually, if he's getting nowhere fast, there's a possibility he may course correct, but if the score gets out of hand the wrong way, he's going to go full McWonder and chuck it every down. He's not patient. Like, we saw Shane Steichen run him down, trailing 20-3, I believe it was at halftime. Shane Steichen came out running the ball 6-7 times in a row, ran him down, caught him while McWonder with the lead, chuck it, and they end up going to overtime, I believe it was. We've seen it so many times. You don't want me to bring up Baltimore. I'm not going to bring it up. Here's the point. These tendencies, these proclivities, I've warned that these are the things that prevent you from reaching the final destination, from hoisting a championship, from accomplishing the goal, the mission, reaching the promised land. These are the things that get in the way. And here's the other thing. This one is important to recognize, my folks, is that in this upcoming game against Seattle, I don't believe that the Seattle Seahawks head coach, I don't believe McDonald is going to try to play the McWonder game. I don't think. I think that coach is savvy enough to understand there's a path to beating McWonder. And if you deviate from it and try to play his game, he got you. But if you stay on your path, you can get him. And that's why I created this formula. How much would you, I was watching the game with a lady, and I asked her, how much would it be worth, do you think, to a coach if someone could give him a formula that never fails? If all he had to do is follow 2 simple metrics and you never lose, wouldn't that be valuable? I thought. Yes, of course, she said. I said, well, I tried to give it to McWonder for free. He won't hear of it. I've come up with the 25-30 principle. I found it, and I've tried to send it to the coach. And if he were to simply follow that formula, he'd be golden every time. And so when opposing coaches follow the 25-30 principle, when they employ it against McWonder, why, he's a dead duck every time, unless he matches them on the principle, which he is loath to do. And so there you have it. If they play tight and right, he's gonna beat himself because of his tendencies, his proclivities. That's just the way it is. And Benny J, cue the Benny Hill music. Benny J, he tried to out McWonder. And he beat himself. And you know what I'm talking about. He left 9 points on the field. He didn't want them. He eschewed the field goals 3 different times, 9 points, and you went to overtime. Wouldn't just one of those field goals have come in handy? At the end of regulation, he eschewed 3 of them. I want to score touchdowns, and you come away with poltergeist strikes and turnovers on downs. Benny J. Coming to the league as a head coach, causing feuds and rifts and rivalries and all this. You know, it's arrogant. It's arrogant. And, you know, they didn't look that buttoned up to be being arrogant. And so Benny J got just what he had coming to him. You don't want to take the field goals in a division playoff game? Winner go home? You don't want the field goals? You don't want 9 points? Bye. Smell you later. So that's what I'm talking about there. But here's the thing. I don't believe that the coach of the Seahawks is going to fall into that trap. He seems like he kind of knows stick to the program. Yeah, fair enough. They lost Charbonnet. Charbonnet, I believe that's French for he who finds footballs laying in the end zone and they give him 2 points. That's I think that's the literal definition of Charbonnet when you translate it. But in all seriousness, he's out. So that's half of their duo, you know. And so, will Seattle be able to control the ground game and still impose their will with the run? We will see, won't we? I gave the Rams 3 keys to victory in Chicago. And, well, they came through with 2 of them. One of them, not so much. But 2 out of 3 ain't bad. And when you got another coach doing the Benny Hill dance, hey, it was enough to get it done. And so I want to give credit to the Rams because what I outlined, the 3 keys last episode, I said, control the ground game on both sides of the ball, meaning stop their run, which essentially Benny J stopped their run for them. Had he gone to it more, it would have been more effective. But that's a check. The other key, I said, play clean, play tight, play right. And I gotta give credit right here. Let me give credit right here to the Rams. No turnovers. You know, they were flirting with them. No turnovers. And no drops. That's remarkable now. Below 0 temperatures, snow, wind chill, all that business. No drops. And you saw Chicago receivers dropping. And they made a couple of great catches on some wayward, errant Caleb throws. Right on. But they had drops right out the gate. First drive of the game. Touchdown. Caleb drop. Oh. You know, It's hard to overcome all that. And so, since we're already here, let's go ahead now and get right into it then. Let's take a look at it. We're going to take a look at the game analysis right now. Game analysis. Rams at frigid Soldier Field in Chicago. Division playoff matchup. The 2 seed Bears, the 5 seed Rams. And so, as I told you last episode, it was good to have Dotson back. That really helped shore things up there. And so that is a good development to have that O-line essentially intact now for this game against Seattle. And, well, the opening drive, the Bears take the ball, march. They get to a 4th and 3 at the LA 21. And, you're at the 21. You take a 3-0 lead right here. Field goal, chip shot, ring it up. Benny J. Benny J says, no, 3 is not good enough for me. I need seven of them things. And so, hey, 4th and 3 is 4th and 3 now. And the Bears have driven to the LA 21, and Caleb, he's looking for it all, and he throws high and wide. It is Kobe Durant. Allow me to introduce you to the Poltergeist. Poltergeist strike right out the gate, and I'm like, yes, this is what I'm talking about, because, as I pointed out last week, the Bears led the NFL in takeaways, and the script is flipped right out the gate now. It is the Rams with a takeaway. And that was a theme that would recur on the evening, as you know. And so, Kobe Durant with his first pick. It would not be his last. That's not foreshadowing. And so, McWonder now with the ball, the Rams, well, he comes out throwing. And see, that will be a theme on the day for the captain of the Ram ball. The captain has decided that despite the frigid temperatures and despite the wind and the snow, well, being on the road, all of it, despite all of it, he is going to put the ball in the air. Elements and environment be damned. I have coined this McFoolishness, I have to say. In my opinion, this is what we're seeing now. It is also hubris. It is that sort of, that comfortable feeling you have when, well, you're a prodigy and everyone loves you and there's a halo around your head and you can't do anything wrong because they won't allow you to do anything wrong. They'll blame somebody else. And so he's decided, I know. I talked about it last episode. I said, Coach, don't be drawn into this false sense of bravado that you can throw against the Bears defense because they're not ranked very well in passing. Don't be fooled. Don't be lulled into that. Play it sound and, well, no, that's not what happened, is it? And so, LA with the ball now. First possession, first play. Matty misses Puka high and wide. And so, you could see early on the tone was set. Both of these head coaches want to air the ball out ill-advisedly. These are not the decisions that sound seasoned captains make. So the first LA drive, well, they matriculate the ball on down the field. And, well, it ends up, it's an 85-yard touchdown drive. It's 6.5 minutes off the clock and, 14 plays. The only thing, the little fly in the soup is that, well, it's 14 plays. It's 10 pass, 4 run, and that includes the run that scored the touchdown, K. Will with the scamper. And so, off balance, 10-4 on the ratio, but LA with the lead, 7-0. LA has scored points off the turnover. Beautiful. Now, Chicago with the ball, and they drive, and they end up with a 1st and goal at the LA 9, I believe it was, and Well, first and goal, they run the ball, get a couple, and then run it again on second and goal, and get a couple more, and then run it again on third and goal. And, and now it's fourth and goal, and they're like at the 1 or 2. And I guess Benny J said, hey, again, I'm not settling for 3. I don't want 3. And so he spreads them wide, and Caleb in the gun, and he fires, and he gets what he's looking for. He gets that game-tying touchdown, and it's 7-7. So it's 14:55 left in the second quarter, and the Rams now get their second possession of the game. And, well, McWonder, he comes out with play-action pass. And here's the thing, my folks. Play-action requires some belief by the defense that you might actually run. And, well, McWonder, the captain, isn't establishing the run, so they don't bite on that fake. The Bears have teeth now, but they're not hungry for that poorly disguised play fake. So Matty, play fake, nobody bites. Now he's got to roll right to escape the pressure, and he throws into double coverage for Fergie, and it's the incomplete. Incomplete, but damn. That was close to a dilly-dalliance with the malevolent one. And so now the clock is stopped. It's 2nd and 10. 2nd and 10, and you're throwing again, and it's complete to Mumpfield, and it's a pickup of 6, and it's 3rd and 4. It's 3rd and 4, and, well, you're throwing again, and incomplete. And so now it's a bad throw in the winter, in the snow, in the wind, in the cold. It's 3 straight passes. And see, this, my folks, is the pattern. The pattern. The tendency. The proclivity. The idiosyncrasy. You eschew the run, Captain. You disdain it. And the defense knows it. And so now, 3 passes, 3 and out. You're punting. And essentially, no time has elapsed. 50 seconds, actually, have elapsed before you give the ball right back. This pattern will repeat itself time and time again. So it's vintage McWonder here. My folks, the pattern. And last week, against Carolina, we saw the pattern. There was a McSquander that was followed by a McBlunder in the second half. And here we see the same pattern. There's a McSquander here, 50 seconds, 3 and out, no runs. And and there will be a McBlunder in the second half. This you can be sure. And yet it's a tie game because it's a race to the rocks. Because apparently, Benny J, cue the music, Benny J, he wants to out McWonder. And so, right there, another example, it's 4th and 1 from the 31, and it's a perfect chance, a perfect opportunity for the Bears to take a 3-point lead on the Rams. And Benny J said, oh, no, I don't stinking 3. Let's go for it. And Monangai is stuffed. Turnover on downs. Okay, well, good. You keep doing that, Ben Johnson. Benny J, you keep that right up. Because our captain, he's going to do his share of McWonderful shit. So, for example, the Rams get that turnover on downs, courtesy of Benny J, and then Captain McDub comes right behind him. Incomplete. You know what I mean? And he hadn't course corrected. And fortunately, there's a little illegal hands penalty on the defense. It gives the Rams a new set of downs. And even with that, there's one run, and then incomplete for Tay, and then another pass play, and Matty's grazing on frozen Chicago grass. And so, he's got a mouthful of Coles, no grass. And I'm like, what is wrong with the captain? And so at this point, I'll just say, let the numbers tell the story. At this point, it's 17 passes, 5 runs. And it's just going to get worse. And so I could give you so many examples, example after example, McLaughlin, time after time, but I don't have the time or energy even to go through it all with you now. I'll suffice it to say, we move into the third quarter, the second half, and the score is 10-10. And there is a point in the third quarter at which the Rams have run a total of 45 offensive plays. 45. And of those 45, of the 45 offensive plays that the Rams have run, 34 of them are passes, 11 are runs. That's a 75.5% pass to run ratio. He's an unbalanced fellow. He's got a condition. And so this is just what it is. Even in the winter, even in the snow and ice, even in the cold and the wind, the Hawk of Chicago, even despite all of it, 75.5% pass to run. And your running backs are giving you capable, adequate, beyond, above adequate yardage per carry, but you won't utilize them. You're like Benny J. You don't want no stinking field goal. You want, McWonder doesn't want no running back carrying the game. He wants to chuck it. Let's just cut to the heart of it. Let's cut to the meat of it. Let me give you the crystallized version, what I now call 14 seconds. All right, let me set it up for you now. The game is still tied. There's 4 minutes left in the third quarter. And, well, Kobe Durant has just reintroduced Caleb to the poltergeist. And so the Rams now, with the ball off the turnover at midfield, their best starting position of the game. And it's a perfect opportunity to go ahead, score points off turnovers, and reassert control of the game. And so McWonder, he comes out. You know it. He comes out throwing. Chuck it. So here it is, my folks. This is it. There are 4 minutes and 3 seconds left in the third quarter, and your defense, courtesy of the poltergeist, is just giving you the ball back at midfield. And McWonder, the captain, comes out throwing. Well, it's play action pass, but the defenders aren't biting on the play fake because the captain hasn't invested in the run game bank. And so they heat Matty up and he throws to avoid the pressure, incomplete. And so it's 2nd and 10. 2nd and 10. And now Matty throws for Puka, but it's high and wide. And the broadcast team speculates that perhaps a Chicago wind gust took that ball away. Affleck. And now it's 3rd and 10. And Matty throws for Puka on the other sideline, well out of bounds, incomplete. And so there it is now. Right there. There it is. You got the ball at midfield with 4 minutes and 3 seconds to play. And now your punter is lined up to kick after a 3 and out. With exactly 3 minutes and 49 seconds on the game clock, you have managed to use only a grand total of 14 seconds. 14 seconds, just like last week. It's almost like you got it down to a science. A McSquander in the first half, and then a McBlunder in the second half, including a 14-second 3 and out. Chuck it. chuck it, incomplete, and punt. Incomplete, and punt. Oh, it's got a ring to it. Incomplete, and punt. 14 seconds. And so, just like last week, it's deja vu all over again. And so, I am afraid I must. I'm afraid I am required. Regrettably, I am compelled to report that this sequence, this has been your McBlunder Spotlight sequence of the week. Oh, Captain. And so I could go on, my folks, for quite some time. And already I see we've gone on quite a while. And so I want to go ahead and land the plane. You know that the Rams would go on to win this game in overtime. And I just want to say now that I do understand why Benny J kicked the extra point to send it to overtime after that miraculous, incredible Caleb, fight on, drop back 25 yards and fling it off the wrong foot into the corner of the end zone. Game tying touchdown. I mean, that was something to behold. And I thought to the football gods, why have you forsaken me? But they didn't. They said, hey, sit tight, stay cool. Don't be a fool. And they worked it all out. The football gods did. I told you they wouldn't permit it. I had faith in them. So I understand why Benny J didn't go for two and try and do a kill shot there. You know why? Because the Rams had stuffed him all game long. He left 9 points on the field. 3 field goals he left on the field trying to convert in short yardage. He said, I'll be damned if I'm going to lose in regulation trying to convert in short yardage situations against these guys. They got my number. He was 1 for 4 on 4th down. So I get it. And I don't fault him. But I wish somebody would pull Matty's coat. Somebody. Anybody. I keep telling him, Matty, tails never fails. Why won't he understand this? It's like he's determined that eventually it's gotta go his way, but it's not going your way. Matty, what is the definition of insanity, sir? At some point, I get it. You just want to stick with what you've been doing, but it's not working, sir. And so at some point, Matty, just once, man, call tails. Just call tails. Just try it. Just try it. Now, damn. So, in the end, it seems appropriate to me anyway that the Bears were finally cooked undone by a poltergeist strike. Because that last one did them in. And that one was another act of greed and or foolishness, because they were a first down away from winning on a field goal, and yet they threw long and missed connections, and the poltergeist came and handled the rest, Cam Curl. And so I can tell you right now, I'm going to be giving out game balls on the defensive side this evening. You can trust and believe that. And so at this point, I want to go ahead and wrap it up. We'll go ahead quickly and look at the numbers, and then go ahead and put this to bed. But the thing of it is that despite the best efforts of Captain McWonder to run aground or against the rocks, it was a race to the rocks, and Benny J beat him there, thankfully. I don't think he's going to see that same kind of good fortune in Seattle. So the captain's got to tighten the ship. He's got to get his proclivities in order. And then, I guess honestly, well, really, what are the odds of that? So, at any rate, let's look at the numbers, my folks, very quickly. Now, when you look at the total yards, when you look at passing yards, when you look at rushing yards, when you look at yards per play, when you look at first downs, Chicago, toothless no more. The Bears outperformed the Rams in all of those categories. They were better on third down. The Bears were. They ran more plays. And so, of course, as you know, they controlled time of possession. See, this is what's going to happen when you don't run the ball. Captain? But, here's the thing now. Here's the thing. The Bears had three poltergeist strikes. Oh. What color will it be this week? They'll be navy blue for sad. 3 poltergeist strikes. You're not gonna survive that, especially when the football gods are not with you to begin with. Right on. All right. And so let's go ahead and then do what we got to do, which is apply the principle. Let's apply it. All right. So let's start with the victors. Let's start with the Rams. All right. Matty, 20 of 42. The game did go to overtime. 42, though. 20 of 42. Yeah. Well, yeah, that's too many. That's a big red X there. 42. What about rushing? Well, K. Will. Look at this. K. Will, 21 carries, 87 yards. Nice. Good job, sir. Good job. And Corum had 6 carries, so that's 27 right there. Puka had 2 on the jet sweep, so that's 29, and Whittington had 1. That's 30 carries. All right. So that's a big green check. So they hit 1 and they miss 1. 42 pass attempts, and was he sacked 4 times? 4 sacks. So that's 46. 46 pass attempts, 30 runs. So he hit 1, he missed 1, did McWonder. And so let's look at his balance differential then. He had a negative 16 balance differential, did Captain McWonder. Now, let's look at the losers with the L's on their heads. Let's look at the Bears. Caleb Williams, fight on, 23 of 42. 42, that's too many. Now, we did go to overtime, but that's too many. That's a red X. What about rushing for the Bears? Swift had 19 carries. Oh, well, Monangai had 13 carries, so they're good right there. That's 32 right there. Caleb Williams, 5 for 40 yards. That's 37. And then Burden had 1. Moore had 1. They had 39 carries. So, well, they had a much better balance differential. They hit 1, miss 1 as well. And so their balance differential with 39 carries is a negative 3. So they do have a better balance differential, but they had 3 poltergeist strikes. And the football gods said, nah, we can't have you. So that's what happened to them. But McWonder, he hit 1, miss 1 too, but there was a race to the rocks, and Benny J got there first. Okay? All right. So now, let's go ahead and give out a few game balls in a victory. Game ball. Well, I want to start on the defensive side, and I want to give a game ball. Cam Curl. Cam Curl was your leading tackler on the day. Cam Curl, 7 solo tackles, 6 more assisted tackles, and a poltergeist strike. The game winning, game sealing. That's it for you. Poltergeist strike. Cam curl. Game ball, sir. Game ball. Game ball. Game ball. Game ball, Kobe Durant. You know it had to be Kobe Durant. 2 poltergeist strikes. 2 of them things. Yes, sir. Game ball, Kobe Durant. He also had a couple of tackles as well. Game ball, Kobe Durant. And then on the offensive side, let me give out one game ball. One game ball. And that is to Kyren Williams. K-Will, 21 carries. That's what I'm talking about. 87 yards. It's a 4.1 yard per carry average. It's not eye-popping, but it's sturdy. It's steady. And 2 touchdowns. 2 of them things. And so game ball, Kyren Williams, game ball, sir. And then I have a couple honorable mentions. 2 of them on defense. Honorable mention, Nate Landman flying around, hitting people. He hit Caleb towards the end of the game. He put a pop on him near the sideline. I was like, I wonder if Caleb is going to be seeing stars. Honorable mention, Nate Landman. 5 solo tackles, 5 more assisted tackles. Second leading tackler on the day. Honorable mention to the other Cam. I like Cam and Cam. I saw him celebrating Cam Curl's interception, the 2 Cams. Honorable mention, Cam Kitchens. 7 tackles. He had 4 solo tackles, 3 more assisted. Cam Kitchens. And Cam Curl said he heard the noise about the secondary. And, I mean, you know, it was somewhat deserved. Because, you know, they had fallen off, but boy, they showed up in Chicago. And they were the ones with the takeaways. Not the Bears. All right. And then finally, an honorable mention. My last one is on the offensive side. Honorable mention to the quarterback, Matt Stafford. Matty, 20 of 42 is not great. His passer rating wasn't great. He was sacked. He grazed on that frozen turf 4 times, but he was clean. There was one little cough up, but he recovered it. And there were a couple of dalliances with the malevolent one, but no poltergeist strikes. And so he led the team. He kept things stable in the storm. And in the end, he led them in overtime to a game-winning field goal. And I want to give an honorable mention to Mevis, too. Mevis, let me say something. Mevis, you scared the hell out of me, Mevis, because the one field goal you hit earlier in the game, it knuckleballed through. It was low, and it was like a squib kick. I was like, what in the hell is wrong with Mevis? But the game winner in overtime, you hit it good. It was true. It started to drift. I was like, man, if that thing was 5 yards further out, it might not have made it. But, you know, it might have went wide left. But it went through clean and true. And so, honorable mention, Mevis. He's only missed 1 kick for the Rams, 1 field goal, I believe, in his entire time in LA. All right. And so, my folks, this ended up being an epic episode after all, didn't it? So, look, I got to get the hell out of here. And so, listen, at this point, what I'm going to ask from you, all I ask you to do is throw me one of these. Please, like the video. Subscribe if you haven't already. Leave me a comment if you are so inclined to let me know what you're thinking. And, hey, I'll be back on the other side of the championship game against Seattle. We'll chop it up, and I'll be there for the Super Bowl coverage, and then we'll go ahead and wrap this thing up, and hopefully it will be mission accomplished. Touchdown in the promised land. And so until the next one, which won't be very long from this one, thank you so much for watching and indulging. I appreciate you. Scotty says, one love. Get 'em, Rams.